Welcome. The Management of Library Association section of IFLA, the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, is pleased to present Advocacy in Action, Strengthening Library Impact Through Evaluation. It is part of the IFLA MLAS Advocacy Impact Evaluation Project. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Loida Garcia-Fibo. I am the chair of IFLA MLAS. As we face an increasingly complex landscape in which access to information, education, and inclusive spaces are critical, the need for effective library advocacy has never been more urgent. Today, we are thrilled to present the findings of the MLAS Advocacy Impact Evaluation Project and unveil their report titled Review of Advocacy Impact Evaluation Practices in the Library Field. This important work provides valuable insights into how we can better measure and evaluate the outcomes of our advocacy efforts, helping us to demonstrate our library's value, influence policy, and drive sustainable change. I am convinced that this is a very significant and historical contribution to our field, particularly to the area of library advocacy and library associations. As chair of IFLA MLAS, I'm proud to highlight that this project aligns with our 5 priority areas for this year: library advocacy, strategic planning, membership retention, financial sustainability, and information integrity. We are fortunate to have a distinguished panel of speakers with us today, including Dr. Gianna Mahala, Assistant Director General for the University Library Affairs at the National and University Library in Zagreb and past President of the Croatian Library Association, and IFLA MLAS member. Susan Hyde, Executive Director of the Canadian Association of Research Libraries and a former IFLA MLAS member. Hela Closer, still MLAS member and formerly a BLIDA Vice President and International Relations Manager at the German Library Association. We hope you find this insightful, empowering, and inspiring for your own advocacy efforts. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to a productive event and discussion. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Gianna Mahala.
Thank you, Loida, for the kind introduction, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to share the information about the project that we as MLAS members done in the MLAS section and want to share with the broad community. I will start to share the presentation. Okay. So the Advocacy Impact Evaluation Project started in November in 2021, and the project has been carried out initially by a group of 6 MLAS members, with me as a lead, Hela Klauser from Germany, Suzanne Hay from Canada, Pascal Sons from France, Jorge Moisés Kroll do Prado from Brazil, Alicia Celeste Carot from Spain, and the group was enlarged in 2024 by 2 new MLS members, Namutenya Hamvalva from Namibia and Ana Carolina Lopez Condras from Argentina. We as a working group want to express our acknowledgements also to a group of library advisors, to Claudia Lux, Steven Weiber, and Christine Paberza, who impacted the course of our project heavily with sharing their insight and knowledge about advocacy and about impact evaluation. The aim of the project is to contribute to the advancement of the library advocacy impact evaluation practices. So we try to result with the guide for the library sector on how to evaluate the effectiveness or how to express impact of the library advocacy activities. For the output of the project, it was designed to be a published report available in a repository to be available for open public and our community to use. It is the purpose of the report will be to be a practical tool for libraries or library associations and library professionals who want to go beyond designing, planning, and measuring and assessing advocacy outputs and outcomes and want to expand their knowledge on how to evaluate library advocacy impact or how to express the effects of change that was resulted from from the advocacy activities. The report includes both theories, practical case studies, and shares some interesting toolkits that can be used or that will be relevant for the library fields. We certainly do hope that the report will provide a certain guide and guidance for library field to initiate or to strengthen current library advocacy impact evaluation practices. Our project lasts for 3 years. It was heavily methodologically complex. We started with literature review. We conducted a literature review in major scientific databases, looking for any information regarding advocacy impact evaluation methods, theories, trying to point out some example of good practices, sharing some studies that can be relevant for the library field. After getting a much deeper understanding about advocacy impact evaluation, we conducted online survey through the IFLA MLAS listserv to identify if there are any current advocacy impact evaluation practices in the field. And to verify our conclusions and findings, our research finished with interviews with experts from the library advocacy impact evaluation field, and those information will be shared by Hela in the following of the presentation. We talked about our project in several events. We started with a kickoff webinar that was held in October 2022 in Zadar, Croatia. Then we talk about the topic of advocacy impact evaluation with library associations during the association forum at WLIC 2022 in Dublin. We presented the preliminary findings at the MLAS open session that was held in WLIC 2023 in Netherlands. And the project results and activities was heavily discussed and accorded with the MLAS members during the MLAS midterm meetings in 2024 in Astana and this year in Berlin, in Germany. We are hoping that our report will be launched and publicly available after WLIC 2025 that will be held in Astana, Kazakhstan this year. So for the beginning, we started to see the literature review findings reveals that past 20 years, there is an increase in numbers of results that are focused with library advocacy. We saw that library advocacy is really in focus in library sector. Although library advocacy is closely related to library association role, advocacy it is commonly understood that advocacy should be approached by every professional, library professional at any level or stage in career. Advocacy has its specialties, so it is very different from, I don't know, library service or library program. We address advocacy as a means to address some urgent or critical situation in society or in library settings. And we use advocacy to achieve global or ultimate strategic goals. Advocacy is very case specific, and its replication in different settings will not provoke the same results. So we can use the same methods and expect that the results will be the same in the different settings and contexts. So and what is also matters is that advocacy is usually adversarial in nature. We use advocacy when we want to provoke some change and result with some change in behaviors or in policy or in attitude. So it is usually adversarial in its nature. Here you can see some of the components that differ advocacy from other library services or program. When we advocate, we address ourselves to the stakeholders, to governments, or to policymakers that are our major target group. And we do it on behalf of the beneficiaries. On the other why we'll do library services or library programs are addressed to beneficiaries, to library service users. So also advocacy needs to be adaptable enough to be able to change its inputs, plans, and strategy to adapt to a context that is in constant flux and change. With advocacy, we tackle the intangible high-level values such as SDGs. And also related to the evaluation and measurement of the advocacy work, it is always a matter of measuring our contribution to the impact of our activities rather than attributed the change only to our activities in general. So in saying all this, it is now clear that advocacy impact evaluation is differ greatly from impact evaluation in the methodological way. So this was the main reason why we focused our project mainly to see how can library field can approach to the library impact evaluation practice. What is advocacy impact? Advocacy impact is usually a result of the measurement of influence over some change behaviors that impacted decision making. It is usually expressed as evidence of our contribution to the outcomes of change. We usually use the theory of change logic model to get this evidence of our contribution to outcomes of change. Advocacy impact results from changes in policies, behaviors, or attitudes that would never have occurred if the activity or intervention had not been deployed. And usually advocacy impact is sometimes expressed in terms of progress toward a desirable change and marked by indicators. we in library field are familiar with illustrating the advocacy impact with success stories. This is all methods how we can recognize impact as a stage of the performance measurement. Why it is important and why we done that project. So our understanding is that advocacy needs to be planned from the beginning until the end, and only with evaluating advocacy impact can show the relevance and collective impact and the value for society of the activities that we conducted. So you need to evaluate advocacy activity, not only to monitor the progress in attaining a desirable change or in attaining a success. Success can be a long time achievement, but in evaluation you will also get opportunity to value the investment that you made during the advocacy, to point out all the capacity and the networks that you built during the advocacy, all new audience that have been reached during your campaign, and new relationship developed, new alliance made. So every activity invested in evaluation is counted, and it is very important to be made. And for the last part of my presentation, I wanted to share three practical examples of advocacy impact evaluation practice in the library field. We wanted to share with you the theory of change logical model that has been created by CILIP Green Library Program. Theory of change schematically shows all inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, and have an impact in mind, clearly stated what is the ultimate goal and how those activities that are planned for the campaign will affect and will impact both library services, library staff, and library users. By using this theory of change logic model, the CILIP resulted with evidence-based report that stated what the campaign has been achieved and the progress that has been made. The second example is the Europeana Impact Playbook. Although it is intended to measure program impact and evaluate program impact, it is a good example of how to get to know how to design impact of programs of our project. So if you are intended to know more about designing impact program or activities, it is a good start, example to start. Lastly, certainly IFLA new strategy that is focused on three impact areas, which is very important for all library associations to as a source for their impact planning and being in line with the global IFLA set of indicators that are indicated in the IFLA strategy. I will pass the floor to Hela to share with you more information on our other studies. Hela?
Yes, thank you very much, Diana, and also a warm welcome from my side. Yes, as you have heard, the literature review did not totally satisfy us as a working group, and we were thinking on how can we get more information for our topic. And here, the closest, the easiest way is to ask our colleagues. And this is what we did. We had a survey, a listserv survey created, and we sent it out to the librarians world, IFLA MLAS librarians world, and we had it on for almost 3 weeks in 2023, and we received 113 answers to the different questions we asked. And you can see here that we had a very nice distribution around the world. So globally, every or each of IFLA's regions gave back some answers to us. Of course, here with Europe quite strong with 36%, but we had feedback from all colleagues around the world, which was very important for us and for our project. So this is what we received as answers, what we found out through the responses we received. So the first question on the left side, we asked, do you formally evaluate your library association's advocacy activities? And here you see almost a clear 50-50, not 100% 50-50, but almost. So one half said, yes, we do. The other half said, no, we don't. Then, of course, we wanted to know more about those who answered yes. So the other question on your right side, we asked if yes, does your evaluation attempt to assess impact? So here you can see that 78%, it's a big scale of the 100%, answered with yes. So, or 78.4. So those respondents who evaluate advocacy activities attempt to evaluate impact as well. This was very important to us because we want to concentrate on the impact and on the evaluation. And normally you concentrate on the advocacy, but we wanted to go this step further. So then we asked those who answered with no about their reasons. And here you see the big scale, and you also see the second scale, which I think is normal if you answer with no, which is lack of resources, staff, and money. And no, the other one left to it, it says lack of time. Of course, we always have to have too little money, especially for new things. We have too little time to experience new things. We have not enough staff to do all what we want to do. This is clear, but we also know if we really, really want something to get started or to change something, then we have to prioritize and somehow we kind of get to where we want. So the other reasons which were mentioned here by our colleagues, I think are much more interesting for us, which is the second scale is from left, lack of knowledge of methodology, and also the second scale from right, lack of assessment tools suitable for library fields. So this shows to us the interest is there, and also perhaps the knowing about the importance of evaluating, but our colleagues probably do not know how to do it, how to start, which tools to use, so how to, get involved in this. And this, of course, for us was a very important result. And the smallest scale all the way left is also very important to us, although it was only about 18%, lack of recognition of its importance. So this is a very small group, but still here we think we have to also do advocacy ourselves to use advocacy impact evaluation for our projects as well. Yes, let's move on. So, what did we want to know more about the attitudes to our topic from those who answered with yes? So here, we learned that 55% of the respondents agree that the advocacy impact evaluation is important in general, and that it should be priority for IFLA and for the library sector as a whole. So more than half, which is quite interesting. And we heard already from Diana that IFLA takes this topic as one of its priorities, and we as MLAS do the same. So we are on this way to get more involved in advocacy and advocacy evaluation. And the second turnout, which struck us, was that 58% do not have experience in advocacy impact evaluation practice, or do not have a good understanding of advocacy impact evaluation methodology. So this is just what I just said before. We in our library field need more information, need more tools, more practice, more exchange of good practice to get into this field and to become stronger in here. So this was our survey, but our working group still was not totally happy with all the results because we heard more and more that experts in this field already said, well, we didn't really put it down in a scale or in information, but we probably did something like evaluating, although we were not so we didn't do it on purpose, but I think we did it. So to get closer to this opinion, we did a third round of information search. Diana had already mentioned it. So we asked 7 experts from the library field in interviews about their experiences. And we chose 7 experts in the 7 from each of the IFLA region. So we wanted to have the whole picture of the global IFLA picture, not only one region. And the answers, the questions we sent to our colleagues to prepare the interview were always the same. So we were kind of able to then compare their answers. So here is what they gave back to us, that most interviews are noting that they did not formally assess the impact of their advocacy. This is what I just said. So they, didn't plan it from beginning on, which would be the best case, as we already heard. But they were also the most successful advocacy programs tend to have been those who really desired a long-term impact and who worked on this part as well. So this shows us as the working group that it is of big importance to get deeper into this part of advocacy impact evaluation. Yes, so these were the interviews we had with the experts from the different regions. And could you change the slide, please, Diana? So what we also want to show you is one more example, so to speak. The next slide.
It thinks that
Doesn't go?
it don't want to change. Just a minute.
Okay. Well, then I continue talking.
Okay.
So, yes, perhaps it is like another example, or also it is for you to, for another invitation for all of you to please use our findings, the work we have done in this study, to use it for your own purposes. And this is what our colleagues from the European Regional Division Council of IFLA did. So they said, IFLA is committed to encouraging effective advocacy for libraries worldwide. We know this. It's Diana pointed out the strategy, IFLA strategy. It is written down there. This one reason for creating regional divisions within IFLA is also to strengthen this advocacy. So then the European Regional Division Committee said, okay, if it is this what we should be doing, then of course we will also put this topic into our action plan in the years 2023-25. And so the project was entitled Demonstrating the Impact of Library Advocacy Initiatives. They set up a working group, and what they did, they used the questions, the material and the questions of our study, and they just added some regional questions which are specific for the European region. So if you want more information, please ask Pascal Sans from this working group. But we really would like to get questions back from other regions, from you, to also use our material and to use it in your region. So what the European Regional Division found out, this is only just, they found out many more things, but and it is also, you will find much more about their project on their website. But what struck me especially was that they found out about the library advocacy players. And if you look at the first dots, libraries and librarians themselves. So we say every librarian is an advocate for his or her work. National library associations play a crucial role in advocacy for the librarianship in their country. And in some countries, you also have these national government authorities. So these three are, I would say, globally. So we all have the same players for library advocacy. We just have to use them to contact them and to get active together with them. And then you find in your own region, like they did for Europe, there are also specific players in Europe, like, of course, the European Union, the Council of Europe. And then you have in the library field in Europe different groups or associations which then also are active in the field of library advocacy. And here I think in every region in the world, if they are as structured or like more than a free group, this doesn't matter, but there are always players, other players for regional things, for libraries, and you just have to go for them and get them and work together with them. So this is about this project the European Regional Division did. We wanted to point it out to you, to show and to, well, invite you to go kind of the same way. But now you want to know more about our project and our review, and so I turn over to Susan. She will give more information to you about this.
So I want to just pause for a moment and say that, you know, at MLAS and at IFLA, we look to influence practice. And so this section is perhaps just a little bit more instructive and kind of bringing it home in terms of you know, how what we learned can be put into practice more so. So what we've seen and Hella documented is that not everybody is doing impact evaluation, and or that they don't know how to do it really. And as we heard from Deanna, what when you take it out to impact, which is the farthest along in a theory of change logic model, it shows the impacts that the advocacy has had on change, so on society. It is not, it's sort of goes beyond evaluating the advocacy itself to the impact or the results. It goes beyond results, I suppose, in some ways you could say. It looks beyond the outcomes, which might be the direct results of the advocacy, to what the impacts are on society, so a changed state. And so that makes it hard. And so we wanted to just review a little bit of why it is hard to get to impact evaluation per se. And there's a number of reasons, and we can see that. So one of the things is that there is impact. It's not like advocacy doesn't happen just once. It happens over time. It's gradual. It may have it may need to take place over a very long term, and it needs to show change. And sometimes there's a bit of luck in there as well, because sometimes, you know, factors point towards the change that you're looking to achieve. Impact evaluation can be methodologically intensive. You know, you have to think carefully about A, what you're trying to achieve, and B, how would you measure and keep the attention on measuring for a long term, so that you're understanding the long-term impacts of the advocacy and a successful campaign. So it's hard work and it takes time. So you have to choose the right indicators, and you have to pay attention to what impact means, as opposed to just measuring activities, for example. So that's the easy one. I want to give you an example. So, you know, for example, you may want to be measuring. So you have a campaign, you're looking to measure activities. You may decide you want to know the number of meetings that you've held with politicians or officials. That's an activity. That's an activity measure. Outcomes, maybe you're invited to be a witness at a committee, or maybe you see that there's heightened awareness, or maybe your view prevails and there's actually a change in legislation. Those, if they're directly attributable to the advocacy, they can be considered outcomes. But you may still not really know if the outcome you were seeking has had the desired effect you were seeking on society. And that's really the long-term impact, and that can be quite difficult to measure. So, you know, have you been able to assess the change that was effected, and whether that has had the desired impact that you hoped for? So that, you know, this makes it hard. In the meantime, because this is a long-term endeavor, you have to pay attention over time. And of course, many of us are busy and we want to stop doing this and start doing something else, and so on. So that's another factor working against impact evaluation per se. There can have been shifts in the environment, so sometimes things change anyway. The context is complicated, and society changes anyway. There can be multiple stakeholders, and there can be different ways of evaluating. And in some ways, the social impact of something can be the hardest thing to really understand. So all of those factors mean that there's, it's difficult, impact evaluation. And we realized that as we were working through all of this research to try to understand the state of it, how you would do it, whether we do it in our community, and so on. Next slide, please. So we looked at some models, and I think I would pause on this one only to say that, like anything, advocacy endeavors are subject to something that I would say is fairly close to just a project life cycle, really. So it's a question of planning, doing, assessing, refining, and doing it again. So that is a basic model, but it is worth keeping in mind. What we decided to do is to look just a little bit more closely at it, to sort of describe it just a little bit differently. And so the next slides are just putting it into a kind of staged approach that we hope would be helpful. So at the beginning or at the outset, it's necessary to reflect and kind of lay the groundwork. So most importantly, it is important to identify what are you trying to achieve? What change are you looking to see? What are you seeking from your advocacy to change? Who plays in this field? This is all basic to advocacy practice, period. Who plays in this field? Who are the key stakeholders? And what are your options in terms of possible courses of actions and possible ways of affecting that change? The second phase, the second stage, we would say, is to plan. So we can, of course, good advocacy, you make an advocacy roadmap. But in that, it's important to develop an impact evaluation component. So it is a thinking long-term. So again, being clear on what you're trying to achieve. How are you looking at this? So if you can understand it with a logic model initially, that is very helpful to the advocacy plan. And then try to identify, what would you do? How would you know about change? Is it something that you would, in the end, want to be collecting some success stories? Is it in the end that you would be looking to external data that would document that society has changed in a certain way and that has improved or made a positive impact on people's lives? So there's a lot of thinking at the outset about your commitment in the long term to undertake this advocacy. Next slide, please. So we don't spend a lot of time in the undertaking. You're implementing your roadmap. You are trying, though, through that process to keep an eye on the big picture, on the impact that you're seeking to have, and trying to make sure that your measures and that the data that you are gathering and the outcome, the activities and the outcomes data is helping you to be better understanding the impact in the long term. So we track the advocacy, so assess the actions. So I've said the impacts, the inputs, the outputs, the outcomes, try to understand those, see again if there's ways of improving your advocacy over time, cycle through as necessary, redo, refine, all of those things. This often, if you're thinking ambitiously, it's a long-term goal. So there's time to refine your advocacy and to take different approaches with different stakeholder groups and so on. And then I think part of it as well at this point is to understand whether you are in fact beginning to be able to see impacts and measure those. So keep an eye on the impact, the long-term impacts that you're looking to achieve. Next slide, please. So then part of it, as we said earlier, is this evaluate and learn. So you evaluate the possible impacts that the advocacy is having and learn from it. So you're understanding that this is a story that you can tell. If you are documenting and you have evidence of success and having impact, then that is helpful for your community, for your library community, to be able to show that libraries themselves are influential and that the library advocacy has helped towards a goal. Now, there may not be cause and effect. You may not be able to say, we did this, so this resulted, and this was great. It's maybe not quite that clear, but that's okay as long as the contribution can be shown and the ultimate goal is reached. So the next slide is really kind of, in the end, you have evidence. You have evidence that you've had social impact. You have, through this rigorous and I would say extensive process of both conducting the advocacy and assessing it on an ongoing basis, you've seen that you've built your capacity for advocacy and for nuanced, deep understanding of its impacts, and you have a story to tell. You have something that you can result in, that you could share publicly, that you can be proud of, and that shows, again, that sort of demonstrates the value of the library community towards this change in your society. So we just wanted to end with a few key takeaways. We have said that impact is it's kind of the final stage. It's what you're really looking to achieve, and that is an important aspect to all of this. That we have an eye on the big change, the long-term picture. All advocacy aims for impact. You may not realize it, but that is what we're aiming to do almost always with advocacy. So you're intending a social change, and you can assess against whether that social change happened and had the intended outcomes itself. It's a long-term undertaking. It needs to be planned. You need to gather data throughout the process in order to demonstrate that change. So it's helpful, of course, to start with some baseline information about where you are at the beginning. That's important as well. We think that advocacy and its impact evaluation are a set of practices that they can be learned. They could even be taught in library schools. There's not all that much attention that is paid in library schools to advocacy and sort of what ultimately the goal of advocacy is and how to achieve it. We think that advocacy impact evaluation should be used to inform subsequent activities and to build your own capacity for advocacy. And we think that when there is an advocacy impact story, that it must be shared, because I think that's important. And we were finding that there's really aren't that many examples in our community. So this shows the value of you and the library community to society as a whole, and for the change that you want to achieve. So I think that's it for us. We have some of our resources listed there. The study, as Deanna had mentioned, will be available through the IFLA repository, hopefully by this summer, and we're interested in seeing whether it's helpful to people. So we would be interested to hear back from you. And thank you on behalf of all three of us. We can turn it to questions if there are any.
Thank you, Hella. Thank you, Susan. We will thank you for audience to stay with us and to share your messages with us. We will stay a few minutes more. If there are some questions that you want to discuss with us, please put it in the chat so we can hear your questions and respond to your questions. We are looking forward to make this our report publicly available, and we are hoping that it will be a useful tool even for those who do not engaged yet with the advocacy impact evaluation, that it will be a good starting point for them, or for those who already try to measure some impact, that it will be also a useful tool for extend the knowledge, or I don't know, practices for evaluate the advocacy impact. If you do not have any question, I will stop sharing. We do not have any question in Q&A. I would say thank you, Thesis. Thank you, Susan and Hela, for being with me today on this webinar, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye to all.
Bye-bye.